Greetings fellow tank commanders. In this video I'm going to be showing you a game that I played in the JgTig 8.8. This is a tier 8 premium German tank destroyer with preferential matchmaking to only see up to tier 9. The game I'm playing is a standard battle on Morovanka with tier 8 as the top tier and one tier 6 artillery on each team. For this game my tank is equipped with a camouflage net, binoculars, and a tank gun rammer. My tank is outfitted for sniping purposes, but I often like to play the JgTig 8.8 quite aggressively, and this is one of those games. I use the large repair kit, large first aid kit, and automatic fire extinguisher in my JgTig 8.8 because this is one of my favorite tanks. The large kits also help with my very aggressive playstyle that I like to do with it sometimes, and with the awesome silver earning potential which this tank has. You can still earn a huge heap of silver using these more expensive kits. This KV-5 is having a lot of trouble penetrating the front of this JgTig 8.8. This is because the main weak spot on this tank is its lower front plate, and because the KV-5 is so tall, it makes the angle on the lower plate too great to penetrate. Using this tank's amazing rate of fire and damage per minute, we were able to make short work of that KV-5. With the gun rammer and my experienced crew, my reload time is just under 5 seconds. When you pair this with its reliable gun performance, it makes the JgTig 8.8 a beast at ripping apart all but the strongest tanks. So the main thing I always focus on when I'm planning out my JgTig 8.8's game strategy is where I can best take advantage of this tank's awesome damage potential. So on this map, most of the sniping opportunities come from shooting at enemies that are just peeking over ridge lines or around houses, which gives the enemy control over how much damage you're dealing. But on this relatively narrow path, you can often get a large crowd of enemies which you can just dig into. And there are some good spots in this area to hide your lower plate. Now this is the biggest risk to playing the JgTig 8.8 as an aggressive tank. Its track traverse speed is quite sluggish, and so a lot of tanks will be able to get around you quite easily. Luckily for me, this KV-4 took his corner quite wide, but also my clutch braking and off-road king skills are definitely helping here. It's great that I'm getting so much support from my teammates here, so even if that KV-4 had gotten around me, my teammates would have been able to deal with them. To avoid getting swarmed, it's a good idea to platoon up with a tank that has a turret, or try to stick with a pack of 2 or 3 teammates. So because my team had such a strong presence over here, we were able to crush this flank quite easily, and my team already has a substantial lead, which means that I'm not the only one having a great game. So now I'm going to have to reposition to the other side of the map to find the remaining enemies, which takes a little bit of time. But that's not really a surprise considering that the JgTig 8.8 is armored like a heavy tank, so it should move like one too. I'm able to get an easy damage hit here from an on-the-move shot. That had some impressive accuracy for being on the move and 400 meters away. The JgTig 8.8 is a really great tank to have in your garage, because not only is it a really awesome tank to use, but it's also phenomenal at earning silver. If I'm ever in need of getting a couple 100,000 to a couple million silver for tier 10 tanks or just equipment, the JgTig 8.8 is my go-to tank. If you equip and supply the tank correctly, once you get used to the game style, you will quickly appreciate its awesome earning potential. But just try to make sure that your crew has 6th sense and repairs before you start using the JgTig 8.8, so that your experience with the tank is an enjoyable one. So now we're in the process of cleaning up the remaining 4 enemies, and I want to point out a mistake that I make here when this T-34/100 is shooting me. I completely stopped moving during my reload time, which allowed him to get an easy shot in on my lower plate and damage my engine. When you're in a position like I am now where you're vulnerable to those lower plate shots, try to roll your tank forwards and backwards slightly, because that little bit of movement can mess up the enemy's shot, and with a little bit of luck, the bullet will instead go into your top plate and probably bounce. This strategy does of course affect your own accuracy, but once you get used to it, you'll be able to work around it quite easily, because this tank does have such reliable gun stats. Now let's check the post-game stats and see how I did. For this game, I earned 183,000 silver with no multipliers, and I used a large repair kit. I earned 3,762 experience, also without multipliers. I dealt 5,864 damage, assisted with 828 damage, blocked 2,710 damage, and destroyed 5 enemy vehicles. This allowed me to earn a Mastery Badge Ace Tanker and a Steel Wall. I placed at the top of my team, earning a base XP of 2,280. I managed to hit 32 of my 37 shots and penetrate 26 of those. All round, my team had a really good game. Most of the players stayed alive and did their fair share of damage, and so this crushing victory was really a team effort. In terms of crew and module damage, I damaged the fuel tank on the Sherman Jumbo. I destroyed the fuel tank, damaged the radio, and injured the commander in the KV-4, damaged the engine in the T-34/100, and damaged the ammo rack in the T-20. Well, that's all for this game. I hope you enjoyed seeing the awesome potential that the JgTig 8.8 has when you get confused and use it as a heavy tank. Stay tuned for more awesome World of Tanks videos.